Hi, hello, good evening everyone. Welcome back to this Fundamentals of Basics of Economy in just 30 minutes. This is Nisha Nujumudeen, your educator in Unacademy. So I hope all these days, whatever topics we have been covering in this Fundamentals of Basic Economic series, you have benefited out of it because this is not just a concept bite course. Rather, a proper interlinking of them with the current affairs along with the previous year questions or the mock questions from that particular concept will be discussed. So today also you have another interesting topic which is none other than financial inclusion. So normally this particular topic pops up in your current affairs perspective with regard to the schemes, with regard to the projects, with regard to the other yojanas, right? So now it's very important to have a proper understanding of what exactly is called as financial inclusion, and then we will take different diversions as to why this concept is very important and what are the important schemes in order to achieve financial inclusion the government has put forward in various sectors. So financial inclusion, the keyword inclusion means inclusiveness. Without even leaving any sector or let's say any party, we have to have a holistic development. These days we know that we don't go for something called as normal or general development, rather for something called as inclusivity. The same thing applies to financial inclusion across various sectors, be it your education, be it your health, your usage, quality, infrastructure, sub kuch like that, and also with regard to the access, banking, etc. etc. So now before starting the class, as you all know, this is Nisha Nujumudeen. I am an expert in Indian economy, current affairs and MCQs. So today the topic of discussion will be financial inclusion. What are the challenges that our country India is facing with regard to the so-called concept? And for that, what are the measures taken by the government for the so-called objective of achieving financial inclusion? So in a quick, short and crisp manner with the proper updation of trending current affairs, we'll be discussing this. Apart from that, you can just go through the schedule of my classes for the month of July. If you see, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I'll be doing a weekly current affairs course which is very useful for all the aspirants. So you can watch them at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And apart from that, if you see, another NCRT batch course is happening on July 14th. It starts from July 14th from morning 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So don't miss out these plus courses. And also there are so many other free classes happening in the Unacademy platform. The schedule is already given to you 6 to 7 p.m. Be it free or be it plus. Just keep one thing in mind. Use the code Nisha IAS Live. I repeat, Nisha IAS Live. Come and study the live classes to become an IAS officer with me, and that is Nisha IAS Live. It is not just the discount my young officers, rather you even get the personal mentoring program. And you see, from today to 14th of July, there is another offer given by Unacademy. You can just go through. I have mentioned the details, so don't miss this opportunity. So now, back to the topic of discussion, that is none other than the fundamentals of economy. In 30 minutes, we have an amazing topic, that is your financial inclusion. So what is that basically? And a small reminder to you that is that in the description box of this particular video, you can see my Unacademy profile link. Okay, you can follow me there to get all the updates. And this is my Telegram, Nisha Nujumudeen for UPSC. You get the PDFs and other perspectives there, and also the updates of all my plus and free classes at Unacademy. So now, without wasting much of time, let's quickly have a look into what is financial inclusion. What is it? In very simple terms, the process of ensuring an access to the financial services in a regular and timely manner, and ensuring that proper or adequate creditor money is available to every section of population. We know that we have elite population, we have middle class income, we have lower middle class, vulnerable groups and the backward groups. Now, all these sections have to be brought together under one single umbrella. Don't you think so? Yes. So, accessing or let's say addressing the needs of the vulnerable groups and the weaker sections, and making sure that everybody is having inclusivity with regard to the finance perspective, money perspective, is called as financial inclusion. And don't you think so? For a diverse economy like India, the so-called concept is indeed very important. It is a critical part of the development process. And this is not a new concept. Since independence, okay, the combined efforts of the successive governments, the other regulatory institutions and also the civil society, all these together have helped our country India in increasing the so-called financial inclusion for our country India. But still we have to work a little more because a lot of loopholes are existing. That is why the so-called heading, that is challenges with regard to financial inclusion, will also be discussed in today's class. followed by the measures which are in the form of schemes, which is very, very important from the prelims examination point of view. Clear? All the exam oriented hit list topics will be discussed in this series, guys. So you can, take a note of the keywords. There is no need of preparing any running notes. You can use these notes and make sure that you are taking, the keywords in your notebook. So now, we can't say that the financial inclusion has not improved for our country. Chalo, over that period of time, it has improved. But then, the poorest of poor, or let's say the weakest of weak, it is still, it still has to penetrate, I can say, because there are so many bottlenecks or hurdles or difficulties and challenges which requires limited attention. So I can tell you that there exists both a great need and a potential, so that we'll be able to tap into the unbanked population and bring them to financial net. So when you talk about the keyword inclusion, it talks about inclusivity in every field. But here we are very particular with regard to financial perspective, which means there are so many people out there in our country who do not even have a bank account today. As a part of the financial inclusion program of the government, a lot of people, even from the agriculture perspective, from the backward areas, they are having a bank account. But the next important point to be noted is that there is no faida, or let's say there is no profit at all, even though they are having these bank accounts. The reason is because there are no proper transactions happening. So it's not just having a bank account and saying that chalo, we are in the financial inclusive perspective. Rather, how effectively that has been maintained. For that, digital literacy or digital awareness is also to be penetrated among the population. And now for the online transactions, they should know how to do that. And now internet connectivity, that also have to be penetrated to the rural development. You can connect this topic to multiple topics like broadband connectivity for the Gram Panchayats, because net is indeed important, right? So there are multiple related hit list topics which are connected to the so-called financial inclusion. Clear? When you study with a proper structure. Now, which are the three pillars of this financial inclusion? The 3A, I can say. What are they? Accessibility, affordability and availability of the so-called financial services. The 3A's are actually the pillars of what? Financial inclusion. And don't you think so? Yes, everyone should have access to everything without any discrimination, without any sort of bottleneck or difficulty or hurdle, I can say. To break the hindrance, that is all about financial inclusion. Don't you think so? Yes, absolutely, I can say. So now as far as this topic is concerned, let's quickly have a look into the success story as such. Now, through this financial inclusion, if you see, there was an increased access to bank. That is, as per the World Bank's Global Financial Inclusion Database, or in short and simple term called as Global Fintechs Report. Okay. As per the report put forward in the year 2017, it was said that 80% Indian adults, they have a bank account against 53%. Which you calculated in the year 2014. So now, when you take a comparison of 2014 to 17, from 53 you have become 80. That's good. That's indeed a good number. But we know the loopholes that has been there, but still we are able to tell people the importance of this financial inclusivity. And the so-called global fintechs, that is financial index report of 2017, they also said that for the adults as a whole, this is a percentage. But then what about the females? Because they are also indeed the weaker sections which have to be brought out. We can see the empowered women across, but then when you take the case of India as a whole, there are still a lot of females who require to be empowered, who require to be actively brought out to participate in the various economic, social, political and fundamental activities, right? If you see the number of females, that is Indian women who have bank accounts, it was 43% in the year 2014. Now it has become 77. So yes, we are able to do a lot of improvement. That is indeed a good, advantage, right? Now, the so-called multiplier effect. A lot of initiatives brought by the government has just multiplied, I can tell you, to increase the last mile connectivity of the financial service to the people, and by providing a basic access to the financial resource to exclusively the underprivileged, or let's say the backward classes, and the smaller and even the weaker or marginalized sections of society. This so-called concept, that is financial inclusion, it has a huge potential, I can tell you, to eradicate so many social evils. What are they? One is poverty, which is very important. Don't you think so? Because of poverty, what all issues? Indeed, the people are not able to grow even a bit. That has to be reduced. And then the next important social evil, unemployment. You will be able to slowly reduce and create more job opportunities through this financial inclusion. Clear? So these two objectives can be achieved if this financial inclusion is being penetrated in the right way. And also enhancing a lot of active participation of citizenry, which means that, see, we believe in something called as triple P concept, public-private partnership concept. Now, earlier if you see private institutions, they were not that engaged with the poor as customers on a significant scale. But today that is not the case. There has been active participation of the private players. Let's say, for example, all your payment banks like Paytm, then Airtel Money, Jio Money, all these companies have realized that bringing the poor people into the financial net is beneficial for their business models, because they are getting introduced the so-called concepts these days. So targeting them means a majority of population they get, and it's easy to influence them also. And now the next important point to be noted with regard to financial inclusion, a success story, is that the so-called DBT, the direct benefit transfer. That is, previously when a scheme was introduced with the government, they used to give the money to the concerned eligible beneficiaries via post office or via particular office and all. But now today, you open a bank account, link them with your Aadhaar and your mobile number, you get the message in your phone, wherein you can go directly and collect the money from the bank itself. And there is no need for you to go to the bank also physically. You get the information, so the money is deposited in your account. You can withdraw them using your ATM cards or debit cards or whatever, and even you can do online transactions. So now the convergence of the Jan Aadhaar Mobile, that is Jam Trinity, with the DBT scheme has largely been successful. Recently, if you see Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, which is put forward with regard to providing some benefits to the farmers, right, that is 6,000 rupees was paid in 3 different installments, 2,000 each by the government. All these are DBT schemes, which comes under the broader objective of financial inclusion. And now, through this, if you see again for the farmers, that was done. So doubling the income of farmers by the year 2022. That broader objective also they are able to achieve through these schemes. You saw one particular scheme has been connected to so many schemes, guys, which means it has a load of implications with regard to what? With regard to the inclusivity perspective. Now, though that is the case also, come on, there are so many challenges associated with regard to this financial inclusion. What are they? One is non-universal access to bank accounts. See, people, as I told you, people do have bank account, and they say that bank accounts are a gateway to all the financial service. But according to a report done by the World Bank, they said that 190 million adults even today in our country do not have a bank account. There are so many people who have a bank account, but then they are remaining inactive. So now, in the terms of the unbanked population, I can tell you, India is the world's second largest nation in terms of unbanked population after China. And the reason for this is, see, India and China, both the countries are having a highest number with regard to population. So that is also one reason why such kind of figures are popping up to a greater extent. Clear? So that is also a factor to be considered. Now, the next is digital divide. That is true. So since 2015, digitalization is being on the rise, I can say, everywhere, every sector, digitalization, online transactions, electronic trade, sab kuch like that. But then if you see, there are so many digital divide or gap that is happening. And one of the most important or common barriers to the adoption of digital technology, which may promote financial inclusion, is non-availability of suitable financial products. That is one thing. And lack of skills among the stakeholders to use such kind of digital service. Then the infrastructure perspective, as I told you, see, if you want a rural area to make use of all the digital service, first they should have digital literacy. They should get educated how to use these technology or stuffs with the proper infrastructure like mobile phone or laptops or whatever. And then forget about laptop, at least a mobile phone. And for the internet to work, to have a digital connectivity, or let's say digitalization as such, internet penetration should be there without a breakage in every rural India, right? In every part of rural India. So all these things have to be rectified. Clear? And many times if you see the consumers with a low income, they are not able to afford the technology that is required to have a better access to all these digital services. That is another important challenge which is faced by the so-called financial inclusion perspective. Next is implement deficit. That is a gap. For example, the Jan Dhan scheme. When that was brought in by the government, it resulted in the opening of many dormant accounts, I can say. That is what I said. Bank accounts were there, but no banking transactions. Then what is the point? For showcasing or keeping a bank account of what? It doesn't make any sense at all. So these are actually unproductive, right? So that has to change. Now, informal and cash dominant economy. In one single term, I can tell you, even today, as per the recent data, 94% of people are dependent upon cash transactions. Even the educated people, if you want to transfer a higher amount, they don't believe in a Google Pay or a Phone Pay or any other app. They rather prefer to go to the bank and deposit the money, or they want to do a cash transactions for the better perspective. And if you see, again, more than 90% of population, they are put up in the informal sector or the unorganized sector. So they prefer daily cash transactions to a greater extent. And that is one difficult challenge for the so-called digital payment adoption. But in the so-called COVID-19 pandemic, the penetration of this coronavirus or let's say all these stuffs has encouraged people to use, even from the small street vendors also, to have a barcode, QR code with them to do the scanning and for the customers to do payments. But still people prefer cash transactions. And if you see, as per the International Labour Organization is concerned, it was said that in the data, 81% of employed persons in India, they work in informal. But I can tell you, apart from other data, more than 90% is still put up in the informal sector. And the combination of a huge informal sector along with the so much of dependence of the people in the so-called cash transactions, that is a very big challenge. Because it is not easy for a country, India, to immediately move to, let's say, a cashless economy. Rather, you can be a less cash society. See, this is a paper done by me, guys. Impact of cashless economy in the Indian economy. Okay, it was published in an international journal, and also I have got an award for this research paper also. Very recently from the INC Institute in association with Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, I have got that. I will just share the paper in the Telegram channel. Already I have done it. So you can read more about this article. That is the solution. What we found out to the research is very simple. You cannot immediately think of plucking Indian economy to become a cashless one. No. It is like slowly moving to the so-called digital perspective. Like let us, for example, you can use cash. Let you start using digital transactions also. Slowly, you can achieve the object of becoming cashless. That is the so-called stuff what we can do in a slow and gradual manner. Because the population is huge, that convincing everybody becomes quite difficult. Clear? And this is a very interesting topic because these topics touch you to the realities of life and what is happening in and around the Indian economy. Even for the mains perspective, now this is a very important topic wherein you can utilize the PDF lectures, whatever I'm giving in my class, my notes as points there in your answers, because it is in a very refined manner. Okay. Next important challenge is gender gap in financial inclusion. That is true. According to the 2017 Global Findex database, again, 83% of males above 15 years of age in India, they have an account at financial institutions in the year 2017 compared to 77% of females. So that's something which has to be understood. The gender gap is also there. The equality is not coming up. So that is again attributed to all the socio-economic factors including the availability of mobile set, internet data facility. Because basically men are having that compared to women in a family, I can say, especially in rural areas and all. They say a male member is supposed to have all this, females are not required to have all this. All these bullshit concepts are there in the brains of few people, due to which you can see a gender gap in the context of what financial inclusions also. All this has to change. The lack of credit penetration, that is true. If you see, one of the biggest constraints in providing money or credit to the low income households and informal businesses because they do not have proper information with regard to from where they can get the credit in perspective as such. So what happened due to this, if you see in the year 2016, a lot of loan accounts per 1,000 adults was 154 in India. And this is quite low when you compared, to similarly placed economies like the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa as well. So it's indeed very important, right? The gateway to financial inclusions. Yes, indeed very important. So let's quickly have a look into the various government measures for financial inclusion. That is indeed one of the most important topics to discuss for the prelims perspective. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. The objective is financial inclusion. To whom? To every household, rural, urban, whoever it is, by providing universal access to banking facility. So the whole point is, under this, a person not having a savings account can open an account, and there is no need for them to keep any minimum balance. That is zero balance, they can have an account, guys. There is no need of minimum balance like 1,000 rupees, 500 rupees, something like that. Then Swabhiman campaign. It means self-respect, giving more self-respect and confidence to people, guys, by making them aware of the financial sector of their country and banking service. That is another measure of the government with regard to financial inclusion. Next is insurance and pension schemes. That is like Atal Pension Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Jan Suraksha Yojana. In this, Atal Pension Yojana is very important with regard to prelims perspective. That is for all the people in the informal sector. Pensions will be given, guys, at the rate of rupees, let's say starting from 3,000, 5,000, 2,000, like that, based on whatever contribution you make from the age group of 18 to 45. Based on the contribution you make, you will be getting a pension at the age of 60. And there was a revised pension yojana called as Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana, which is again a kind of yojana for the informal sector workers only. Here, no matter what was the contribution done by the people, they'll be given an equal amount of pensions once they retire after 60, like 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Clear? Next important measure of financial inclusion by the government is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. This is giving a formal access to all the people in the business sector to have an access to the financial facility. Just to promote and ensure bank finance, guys, even to the smaller sections of the economy, and to improve the startup, only such kind of Mudra Yojana was put up. Your Mudra loans, your Tarun Kishore ka loans, na the categorization, so-called thing. Tarun Kishore is not neighbor wala people. This talks about the categorization of medium term, short term and long term loan. The names given under the Mudra scheme. Clear? See, not only government, even RBI also did a lot of things, I should tell you, because RBI is something where they never kept quiet. They also launched a lot of initiative because it deals with money and credit for the so-called financial inclusion. If you see PSL, very, very important, priority sector lending. Okay, now priority sector lending means making sure that money is available to the most important priority sectors of the economy, like agriculture, education, and then after that you give to the other sector. That is one thing. And it is sector specific, I can say, to bring up that particular sectors as such. Then if you see, know your customer details. If you want to open a bank account, too much of complications you have. So these days, if you see, RBI has relaxed the KYC norms. Then the business correspondents as intermediaries to fill the form when you open an account. All these things have literally enabled people to start a bank account, or let's say have a more accessibility to the financial perspective. Next is digital initiative. You had the digital divide disadvantage, but then one of the measures taken by the government to eliminate or reduce the digital gap or divide is a digital initiative, like Digital India, payment banks and small finance bank. See, all these now will start helping to improve to a greater extent where the reachability with regard to the formal financial service to the backward or economically disadvantaged groups will be there. They have to be boosted up. They have to be brought out. You understand? So automatically the financial service to both unbanked and underbanked population, especially in rural and remote regions, can be done through such kind of digital initiative. Clear? And that is why the government is bringing it. Simple logic. So that's all you have to know regarding the various financial inclusion initiative or measures taken by the government. Now let's quickly have a look into the current affairs of this particular topic. See, the current affairs of financial inclusion exclusively deals with what? Exclusively it deals with your schemes, or let's say yojanas. One is JAM Trinity, Jan Aadhaar Mobile. That is a combination of Aadhaar, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana and the surge in mobile communication. All these three together has enabled the government to give a very good service to citizens with regard to the financial inclusion. And if you see, as per the data of March 2020, the total number of beneficiaries under the JAM Trinity was more than 380 million. Indeed, a kudos, I can say. By constantly changing the concept of individual identity, I can tell you, the so-called unified biometric identification called as Aadhaar, they not only brought about a secure and easily verifiable system, but also a easy way in which you can obtain as well as do a great with regard to the so-called financial inclusion process. So basically, for promoting financial inclusion and providing financial security to empower the poor people and the unbanked people, the ones who do not have a bank account only, such kind of flagship scheme called as Jan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity has been brought in. And under the so-called Jan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, the JAM Trinity, you have Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, Stand Up India scheme, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, then PM's Raksha Bima Yojana, Atal Pension Yojana. All these are coming under that. Next is with regard to promotion of digital payments. Your UPI, indeed the next important hit list topic, and NPCI, National Payment Council or Corporation of India. So with strengthening the UPI by NCPI, again, digital payments became more secure compared to past. Today, wherever you go, you have the encryption code to scan. You have the UPI to make payments, Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, whatever you have. Right? You can use the UPI over there, your BIM, all these things. And thus the Aadhaar-enabled payment system. That also enabled what? An Aadhaar-enabled bank account, which can be used any place, anytime, guys, with the so-called micro ATMs. So much we have developed in the context of technology with regard to digitalization, right? And even the payment system, I can tell you, it has been very, very accessible due to offline transaction enabling platforms like USSD. What is that? Unstructured supplementary service data. Through this, you can make it is possible for you to use mobile banking service even without internet, even on a basic mobile handset. That is indeed a kudos. So people think that you can do the banking activities only with the help of internet. But now again, for the remote and rural area people, because of the issue of the so-called internet, you see USDD, a new thing, unstructured supplementary service data. Using this, you can actually, even if you're offline, you can start doing the mobile banking service. No issues with that without the internet. Clear? And not required that you should have a smartphone. The basic mobile handset now in that also all the things are coming up. Even using that you can carry it forward. That's a good initiative, guys. You should know this point. Many of you will not be knowing, so please make a note of it. So that's all, my young officers. I hope you really enjoyed the class. So it's time for you to quickly test what you studied. The UPSC previous year questions or the mock questions. So first one is, consider the following statements regarding national strategy for financial inclusion. First one tells, Ministry of Finance under the aegis of FIAC initiated the process. Second, it is for the period 2019 to 24. And 3 tells, UN SDG view financial inclusion as a key enabler for achieving the SDG, or let's say sustainable development worldwide. Look at the question carefully and then give the polling or the answers in the chat box. Okay? Which one do you think is correct? And the answer is option number C. That is, what is the meaning of that? Only the second and third one is correct. See, second and third we know it is correct. Why is the first one wrong? Even if you're not sure about the first one also, it is said that Ministry of Finance under the aegis. Do you think it makes a sense, guys? It is, for example, Financial Inclusion Advisory Committee under Ministry of Finance will make a sense. What do you say? But telling that Ministry of Finance coming under the aegis, do you think it makes a sense? Definitely no. So you got to eliminate it. Clear? So once you eliminate one, automatically what happened? Option number A, B and D is eliminated because everything is having one. What remains is C, and that becomes the answer. Clear? And if you want to achieve a coordinated and time-bound manner objectives with regard to financial inclusion, then such kind of national strategy for financial inclusion is very important. Don't you think so? Yes. And it is not your Ministry of Finance. The Reserve Bank of India under the so-called Financial Inclusion Advisory Committee, they only initiated what? The process of formulation. In your question, it is given as Ministry of Finance. It is actually RBI. Clear? And the period is 2019 to 24. You have 2 more years. We have to wait and see whether they are able to achieve the progress. And now in the year 2018, you had a question from the mains perspective, guys. That's why I told you it's very, very important for the mains perspective. What is financial inclusion? What are the challenges with regard to this so-called concept in India and the various government measures of financial inclusion? Did you notice something in this particular PDF, what I've taught you, the notes what I've taught you? The topics also I've taught you, like what is inclusion, challenges, measures, and the current affairs, the schemes related to that. Which means the exact note what I've taught you, the same thing you can comprise in 250 words and you can write the answer. So pertaining to the UPSC mains question of 2018 only, this particular topic has been taught to you. So there is no need for you to study or write another answer with regard to this topic. The same notes can be utilized, clear, in a refined manner in your own language. Next is, financial inclusion is increasingly being recognized as a key driver of economic growth and poverty alleviation the world over. Discuss the efforts being made by India in this direction. Just write what is financial inclusion, mention the challenges, and then remember I taught you a heading called as various measures taken by the government. Write that. That's enough. With a few datas, whatever is mentioned in the PPT on notes. Okay, your work is done. Clear? So do write this and submit in the Telegram, guys. I'll evaluate it. So thank you so much, my young officers. And one more question is there with regard to digital technology and financial inclusion. You can just go through that and make sure that you are making the maximum out of it. For this year mains also, financial inclusion is a hit list topic. And with regard to the schemes or yojanas associated with regard to financial inclusion is important for the prelims perspective. Clear? So if you do like this video, before leaving the class, don't forget to like, share and also put your valuable feedbacks in the comment box. It's indeed very important. And once again, a small reminder to you, the UPSC CSE MAHA subscription offer is going on. You subscribe today, that is July 8. Till next year, July 8, you have the subscription. But then Unacademy is extending till your mains. And also if you go for a 2-year subscription, then extra, and if you're not clearing the prelims, extra 1-year subscription also you're getting. So what all Unacademy is giving? See, so we at Unacademy is with you people till you clear your UPSC, guys. That's a so-called logo. The Unacademy Promise Week is happening, where apart from the 35% discount, extra 10% also Unacademy is giving now. Plus you can get additional 10% using my code Nisha IAS Live. Free class or plus class. Keep this in mind. For the discounts plus the personal mentoring program. Don't miss out this opportunity. It is from July 8 to July 14. Clear? Any doubt, any queries, feel free to get in touch with me via Unacademy profile and also Telegram. So thank you so much, my young officers. See you tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. to 7:30 with another interesting topic of the day. And also, all of you at 8 p.m. today, come to the same channel and go to the video called as Economy Daily Booster Series for just 10 minutes. Clear? Thank you and Jai Hind.